first on the calendar. Tom Dwan, we talked about the chip lead. Sam Greenwood in second, and then Paul Foy and Kiat Lee, the two shorties. Payouts, $387,000 will go to the champion. $80,000 will be awarded to sixth. And at present, nobody is guaranteed a single dollar, with, let's call it, a little bit of his guard down.
Yeah, you know, I feel like I've watched some interview as of, I won't say recent, but of this year, and you know, he kind of like, yeah, happy to be back in the tournament scene. Just like got things put together. Yeah, it's good. It's really nice to see. You know, I would say he's the majority of the people's watching's fan favorite
for sure. Now, Ace 8 suited is the Badziakouski favorite right now, as he jammed under the gun, minus 50K, which he left back. And for Dwan, 2 red jacks. The man's asking me for a spin again. I almost gave it to him with Queen Jack offsuit.
Every time he waits, Makita's gaining more chips. It's going to get a bit more expensive. He's going to go for it. Wow.
Plows over the top, which will give Badziakouski some protection, if we can call it that, from maybe some dominant aces getting involved behind him. And instead, it is Wheel of Fortune, and Tom Dwan will take 56% equity up against Badziakouski, who moved in with the Ace 8 and flops himself 2 pair on the Ace 10-8 board. But those sets tend to roll off more frequently in short deck. The 10 doesn't change the running order, and now the river is yet another 10. So Badziakouski able to double through Dwan.
Yeah, and you know, that goes to show you my point is that Tom doesn't really like to pass very small edge. No, just
it would appear so.
It's just, hey, you know what? If I just go all in, they can't play back at me unless they got it.
I mean, it's kind of irresponsible when we consider the ICM of 103,000 for fifth, 131,000 for fourth, and Ivey sitting with 28
Ivey's
antes.
Reaching for chips right now.
And
like,
yeah,
I'm done.
He's ready to go. A brief wince, as Dwan is obviously capable of waking up. And you see an eye roll there on Durr.
These guys not folding to me.
But it was always Ivey who was the candidate to call more so than anyone else, and he has flopped a queen and a gutter here on the ace-high board, just the 10 for Dwan, and on the river, Ivey will make Broadway and double up. And Kiat Lee, fourth in chips before that pot, thinking, thanks, Tom. Thanks. Kita's mind, a mind that is sharp enough to be interpreting Dwan's move along those lines and in consideration of all those metrics and analytical points. Ivey jamming, meanwhile, here with ace-9 of hearts. Dwan's got hearts of his own, including the one beating in his chest, which is a lot mightier than the average.
Dwan is always finding a way to try to put chips in the middle. King 10 suited, you would imagine this should be a fold, but Dwan is thinking about some stuff. He's like, you know what? I might be up against that Jack 10 suited.
Well,
let's run it.
Look at the tongue here. Remember Michael Jordan?
Mm-hmm. Let's try and put the pain on Ivey. This would be one heck of a call. Pre-flop. One player to act behind him, which is important. He probably knows that Greenwood won't overcall third, even with a hand like Ace-King, I think. So maybe he's like, okay, I don't got to worry about Greenwood. If Greenwood doesn't have aces, he's not calling. So now it's just me and Ivey. He's reaching for chips. He's putting it in.
Wow.
Ollie. King 10 suited.
So Ivey is going to be just about a flip here.
Wow, I didn't realize it was so close.
Yeah, I didn't either.
Dwan has done his math.
And a 10 in the window favors Dwan as he makes the pair. Ivey with the gut shot on the Jack 7-10 board, and now aces for Ivey. But Dwan's got a Broadway draw. Instead, it is a 9 on the river. Aces up for Phil Ivey, and if he seems stoic and motionless, that's because he's not going anywhere. And Dwan says, let's play some more roulette. This time with ace-9 offsuit. Greenwood, 2 10s into the muck as you see the power of the big stack leveraging. Kiat Lee, though, is ready to go. Off of 34 annies, just about 1 million to start the hand. He's going to take the dominant ace up against Tom, who has 31% equity. 6-6-8 board presents some chops. Turn is the queen, however, and Kiat Lee will double.
Man, so Dwan's been
Kind of
going for...
was rocking it throughout the festival as Tom Dwan rocks 2 red aces, and Webster Lim rocking what I think is the second yawn that I've seen him issue there on the rail back in the negative space. He's like, come on, man. We've been 5-handed too long. I want blood.
He busted first and was like, yeah, I want to see who's going to use those chips of mine and see if they cruise to the championship. Aces, though. Look, if Dwan is raising so much garbage, certainly it makes a lot of sense for him to raise aces as well. And the delay might have caught up by now where they play back at him and see Greenwood. I'm not going to fold king-queen to you. You're raising such bad hands.
And Greenwood has enough chips to actually stand up to him at this point. In fact, he's inherited the chip lead after Dwan lost that last pot to him. So, Queen Jack 9 flops top pair and a gut shot straight draw against the overpair with 650 in the middle.
This is kind of scary for 2 aces. Do you bet, try to extract value, protect your hand, or do you play cautious? Dwan's in a betting mood. He's betting very small, trying to maintain the initiative, but also try to clear the way. Define the hand.
But 125 into 650.
It's hard to imagine many hands that would fold to a flop bet, but by making it really small, you might expect raises from hands better than you, and then you can maybe just find the muck.
7 of diamonds doesn't rate to be a concern for either of these hands.
Yeah, so he might have expected, say, king 10 suited, a set of jacks, queens, maybe raise the flop some percentage of the time. So might feel more comfortable with the 2 aces. He's gonna slow it down. I feel like Greenwood's gonna slow his hand down too. His hand is not amazing.
And he also knows that Dwan is one of these guys that really likes to throw you a curveball with the big check raises.
I mean,
in spots where you just think you can't check raise me here.
He mentioned it earlier too, right? What if I check jam that river? So it's got to be in the back of your mind.
Yeah, seeds have been planted, and now 2 pair for Greenwood, courtesy of a king on the river. Texture awful for the 2 aces at this point in this 900K pot. 4 to a straight out there.
I guess Dwan needs to think about how often Greenwood has it. He's going to give up.
And you see, he kind of already knew that the aces were not going to perform well.
Chip lead is slipping away even more. Now he's down to 2.7. Greenwood knew how to smash when I was a kid.
You're from Australia. How is it possible that a country full of water babies...
You know, right now, you're exposing me right now. I don't feel very well right now.
Well, Tom Dwan might not be feeling too well momentarily as Phil Ivey is looking to expose 2 jacks to an ace-king. Dwan does have Ivey covered going into this one, but just barely.
Yes, this could be the...
And this is flippy here.
This is very flippy.
Oh, and the ace now could complete the demise of Tom Dwan. What is the turn? It is a king, and despite improving Ivey's hand to 2 pair, it does provide Dwan 4 new outs in the form of queens. 5 million chip pot, and the river is no help to Tom Dwan, who is left with vapors. 100.
Guys wouldn't take that spot. But you know, it's the way Tom plays, and that's how he got to the big stack, right? Pre-bubble was going for it.
And notice Ivey doesn't waste any time. Newly minted as the chip leader, blasts, and now Dwan decides King 7 offsuit is worthy.
Yeah, and I think Greenwood's laying down this ace queen.
Yeah, he doesn't want to, but just.
I mean, he's thinking about it though. But this is a ton of chips.
I'll tell you what, it is the kind of spot where if all of a sudden he makes this call and ends up doubling through Ivey and showering Dwan with 4 left, he is a huge favorite to win this thing.
Yes, and that's definitely crossing his mind. He probably thinks, man, I'm dominating Greenwood Ivey so often in his spot. But if I'm up against Jack 10, that's a disaster. If I'm up against King Jack, laying it down.
Yeah, he said call and I win the tournament.
Call and win the tournament.
What was it?
You win tournament. If I was suited, I might have called. Ace queen off.
So.
That's fine. 9-8 off. I'm on board.
Tom Dwan is looking to claw back such a modest portion of the big stack that he just shipped over to Phil Ivey moments ago. And note Ivey with 9-8 actually is the favorite pre-flop. However, King 10-6 now turns Dwan into the favorite. But somehow he hits kings and 7s, which give Ivey the gutter. Now he needs to fill up, which he cannot. And it is the completion of a real tailspin here at the final table of the 30K for Tom Dwan, who is denied.
How Dwan played it under the gun. The newly departed.
Greenwood follows suit with Queen Jack.
Maybe a 4-way limp pot potential here. Unless Badziakouski wants to get out of line. But I don't think so. It would be a little bit too risky to make a play at all these limps with Kiat Lee sitting on less than 20 antes here.
And so the button does wrap the table for Bads and turn into a 2-way straight draw on the Ace-Jack 9 board, which gives Ivey bottom set, Greenwood with second pair, and Lee with dust.
Oh, just pushed it in. And he's going to close out the guy who's got so much equity against you. Like, Ivey bets. Badziakouski would call. Turn would be tough. Denying equity, very important in this game. Especially out of position where it's harder to maneuver. I mean, I don't see how the Queen 10 could do anything but fold. It feels dirty.
Yeah, he wanted to take
this king. He should be going for a jam rather than a limp trap, because Kiat Lee's got a micro stack. He doesn't want to induce action. Try to minimize the chance one of the big stacks play back at him.
Average and accept 60K.
Ivey going for it, actually behind.
So the Ace-Queen is going to be a dog against the Ace-King. Bad news for Ivey. Great news for Badziakouski, who really did require a good amount of hand to be willing to risk things against the likes of Greenwood and Ivey with that Kiat Lee short stack still out there.
Yeah, 28% chance to win for Ivey, 10% tie. And he's flop top 2 pair.
Jack.
cold, cold flop for Bads.
Jack.
Well, he picks up some outs. Now, not just the king, but a jack would rescue him in this 2.9 million chip pot. And instead, it is running tens. So Badziakouski gets cooler to finish in 4th place, and that is great news for Kiat Lee, who manages to secure a pay jump from 4th to 3rd of 40,000. Queen 8 against 10-8, and Greenwood flops the joint on the queen high texture here.
So a lot of times you actually would be a little bit afraid not holding the absolute nuts. You could make a case for raising more. He is going to keep it slow.
Indeed.
9 is a little bit scary for queen 8. Its opponent could have improved. You do tend to see a lot more pot control in this type of game. Greenwood probably thinks he's up against a queen X or a 10X type holding. Needs to charge appropriately. 9X might not bet the flop, also probably would bet the turn.
Greenwood firing 275,000 after he flatted the 75K stab from Ivey on the flop. Phil's going to make the call. Pot shoots up to 900K. 7 doesn't complicate anything.
It does really feel strongly that Ivey is at best holding a single pair with the 9s as well. He should be targeting accordingly against those type of hands. Him blasting big, I think, would deter a lot of hero calls. Although in heads up, sometimes people will call you down a bit more lightly. But he's actually reaching for a lot of chips. Trying to rep.
What was that? Oh, wow.
Over the pot.
Yeah.
Trying to polarize the hand. By betting this way, it would seem that Greenwood would never be betting a queen. So that would make Ivey's kicker irrelevant. No, I feel like Ivey's good at sniffing this one as a strong hand. I don't know. He's reaching for chips. He's like, it's heads up. You got no one to wait out. Maybe I should call you down? He bet flop, check call turn. His hand does look like queen X. Gonna bleed into that shot clock. Oh man, it seems like he's about to pick up his chips and move them in and changes his mind.
Well, he does a lot of that, and then he'll just dart a look over to see the reaction from his opponent. And in the end, Ivey does decide to make the call, and Greenwood off to a good start here, heads up, as he picks up a bundle.
So we're now continuing to see this limp pot fighting.
Aces and 6s for Greenwood, who continues to get hit with the deck here against Ivey, who is sprinkling 75K. Just trying to find out whether or not he's going to win one pot against this guy.
And Once again, Greenwood putting in more chips. Ivey with not much of a hand. Turns to set, though. That is unexpected.
No kidding. The 9 of diamonds, a beautiful arrival for Ivey, and certainly not the kind of card that rates to be of any sort of concern for Greenwood.
Greenwood's really underplayed his hand by just calling the flop of a6. Turns a bit troublesome since a straight is out there. We'll just call, I imagine. Don't want to bloat the pot on boards where someone could have a made 5-card hand.
And that is the kind of card that absolutely could freeze the action. 7 of clubs, puts 4 to a straight out there, and completes the flush. So you see the 2 quick checks, and Ivey may have stood to make some more there, Randy, bar that 7 of clubs
Jack
arriving.
8. Enough of a hand for a check.
Queen 7-6, top pair for Ivey.
Ivey laying the trap, Queen 10. No bait. Greenwood turns a 6. Very, very dry board. Ivey, while probably thinks he's got the best hand, might want to pot control with trip 6s being a possibility. If your opponent is holding a pair, he doesn't have much chance anyways. But maybe you induce a bet sometimes. That looks like I want to bet just how much. Trying to rep that 6.
$160 into this 240.
You can see he's kind of going a little bit more sizable, knowing that if he wants to represent that strong of a hand, you'd want to bet bigger. Gets called.
Of course, no need for Ivey to be looking to make this any bigger. Now the 9 on the river. Queen 10, fairly vulnerable against the any 2 range of Greenwood on the button.
Small factor holding the 8 is you do block ace 8. That might check call a turn bet. I wouldn't think Greenwood would expect to be up against 10-8. 10-8 wouldn't really be check calling. If he wants to bet, he's probably going to opt for a bigger sizing, trying to continue the story of having trip 6s. And he's doing that. Wow, it's like exactly pot size. Ivey, gotta remember, last time he called roughly pot size, he was wrong against the 10-8 straight. And there is no obvious draw out there. So it seems credible, but Ivey's usually one step ahead.
560K. We already saw Greenwood put an overbet of over 900,000 out there on a prior occasion. This not an overbet, but certainly a big one.
Yeah, it's actually a very tough spot, because the 9 would give showdown value to those obvious draws like the 8-9, 10-9 that might take a stab on the turn. We've got the history from the prior hand. When he hero called and was wrong, with a queen as well. Lots to think about. The fact that Ivey didn't bet any street may make it seem like he's more likely to be holding a middling pair, like a 7. Oh, touching those chips again, trying to make a decision. He seems pained, but Ivey's good at making the call.
Yeah, and he does exactly that. So Greenwood gets caught with his hand in the cookie jar as Ivey sniffs it out with queens and sixes there.
This is what's tough about playing Ivey. When he makes a great call on you, you feel a little deflated.
I'll tell you what, Greenwood knows he's got his hands full here, not only just due to the reputation, but just take a look at his career Triton record. The 2 titles, both coming in short
Not
deck
everyone's
event.
trying to win every single pot and heads up, knowing that the distribution needs to be fair.
Jack 8 and Queen 7 turns into top 2 and bottom pair for Greenwood and Ivey respectively.
Greenwood's been the one firing lately. Don't really see why he would stop. But very mixed strategy on the sizings. Now he's kind of going for that mini bet again.
The cutesy.
Ivey's like, okay, don't love it, but if you're going to give me that price, why not? And now we get one of the annoying cards for top 2 pairs. Obvious straight. Very hard to maneuver. Does Ivey decide to turn his 7 into a bluff? Try to rep that straight. Yes, he does.
You smelled it.
I think for this sizing, you probably get a crying call from Greenwood, but that doesn't mean that Ivey's going to shut down. With someone to play passively on the turn, does kind of look like maybe Greenwood's sitting on a weak 2 pair, 1 pair occasionally. Got a big hand here. Actually, 32% still with Queen 7. 100.
Yep, 9 burger on the river, straight on board now. Just a really poor run out for Greenwood, of course, who goes from top 2 to playing the board. And for Ivey, somehow, he's got the check mark.
Yeah, and it's actually pretty annoying because Ivey could just have a stone cold bluff playing the board. So I wouldn't say that Greenwood would auto check fold this river. Like, you need to think about how could Ivey arrive to this river with a queen that bet the turn. It's pretty hard to name some hands unless you start finding these Queen 7, Queen 8s that take a shot at it. And Ivey knows that it's hard for him to have a queen, so that's why he's sizing up. He thinks he can get hero called. It is pretty unbelievable to be up against a queen right now. Jackson King Queen might be one of those candidates, depending on how you approach things.
Owen?
Yeah, he's going to jam.
I think King Queen's good enough here. Yes, you could be up against Ace Queen, Ace King, but we've seen Greenwood jam King 10 suited, so King Queen.
Oh yeah,
would have
and
to
Ivey is going to make the call. We're going to play a 7.7 million chip pot here, and it's 2 overs against the pair. So all of the jabs have given way to a big blow on the flop. Queen, Queen 8, and Ivey has Greenwood in a world of hurt.
10.
Even if Greenwood were to fill up with a jack of clubs, Ivey would draw live with that king of clubs to a flush. No club on the turn, however. Greenwood did pick up a straight draw, and instead Ivey makes quads on the river. And with that card, Sam Greenwood finishes in second place, and Phil Ivey